So I'm out in the forest right now, and I wanted to just record a quick voice message about something that I was thinking about, right? So I was talking before about strong nuclear interaction and how it acts repulsive at a certain distance. I really don't remember the specific distance, but when particles begin to close up together, the force pushes them apart just enough such that they don't make contact with each other. And at any other distance further than that, it pulls them together, so it keeps them in a perfect shell, which is how atoms stay together. And now, logic says that forces act the same across all four fundamental forces. They are mediated by a similar type of particle. Oh, there's people out there, I think. I can't see. Anyway, I think that's just a bird actually. Anyway, logic says they're mediated similarly across all four forces. Electromagnetism has its respective particles, gravity has its respective particle, the graviton, and they're all mediated the same way, even if it's not the same particle. They're mediated the same way. That's what my brain says. It might not be right, but that's my immediate first thought. And from that, I can stem that at least two of the fundamental forces have repulsion properties, magnetism and strong nuclear interaction. What causes a repulsion for strong nuclear interaction? And what causes it for magnetism? I don't even know that. Well, I know why it repels, it's something you learn in physics early on, but why does it repel? You know what I mean? Like, you can see it in your mind with the magnetic fields pushing each other apart. It makes sense logically, but why does it happen? The same with strong nuclear interaction. I don't think anyone knows why it repels at a certain distance, which makes me think that for something like gravity, which doesn't repel at all, is there a theoretical mediating boson that can cause it to repel? I'm going to call it a C boson, or let's just say something like an anti-graviton, right, that can cause it to repel in that way. And from there, you can question what causes gravity to even attract in the first place. Because, well, it pulls two objects together with force. Where does that force come from? It seems like it's an unlimited source of energy from nowhere. An object falls to the earth if you hold it high enough with its potential energy, but where does that energy even come from? The mere height? Well, there must, it's so much we don't know about this. And that's what I've always wanted to conquer, is diving into the unknown. That's what my brain always wants, to dive into the complete unknown. And I've always been told no because, well, it's so far beyond my education level. And even now it's still so far beyond my education level. It's still something that I can't help but dig my teeth into because it's just what my brain wants, I was always told wait till university for that. But I just can't. I just need to push myself further and further. You know what I mean? It's just what I want. I'm coming to the section of the forest with the really smelly plants. It's called wild garlic, and they say it smells like garlic, but it does not smell like garlic. It smells like shit. If anything, it smells like rotting meat, and I fucking hate it. But I'm coming up to it now, so that's going to be fun. Anyway, back to the science part. Yeah, so there'd be this theoretical interaction particle. Like the W and Z bosons. I forget which one it is. I think it's the W boson, which converts protons to neutrons and neutrons to protons, with W positive and W negative respectively. And there has to be a particle like that for gravity. Well, the graviton, they already predicted exists. But is there an opposite as well? I wouldn't assume there's an opposite that exists in nature, because there's never any. What on earth is that? Oh, a squirrel. There isn't any that occurs in nature. There's never been any repulsive gravitational behavior observed. And I think if there was, I'd probably know about it by now. So there's never been anything like that observed. So if anything does exist, it has to be man-made, a bit like something like a positron. A positron never exists in real life, but it still exists because we made it, So if I ever want to observe something like that, it has to be constructed of human interaction, And I just need to think about the what ifs, I need to think about, well, if this existed, what would it do? And when I have a set of behaviors down of what I think it will act like, logically speaking, given the behaviors of known particles and known mediators, then I can apply it. Then I would have a better understanding of what it would be if it did exist. and then I would be able to build around that, you know. I'm not saying I could construct something that doesn't exist, especially something at that level, um, but it would certainly give me more of an understanding. And plus, this theoretical thought path of what ifs, what ifs, what ifs is very useful in just exercising your brain in general, because at least for me, the what ifs and the questions and the intrinsic childish curiosity within me loves this sort of thing, and I would never give it up for the world. Um, so yeah, so I'm back in the garlic smelling area, and actually I've come back in a different part of the season now, and it smells a lot more like garlic than it did before. Before it smelled like rotting meat, but now it smells like actual garlic, and it smells mildly pleasant. So yeah, and my throat starts to hurt a little bit. Maybe hay fever, but yeah, I'd love to exercise this thought process in real life. I'd love to apply it. I'd love to have a job dedicated to it, but it would never happen because thought processes like this don't get funds. They don't get grants for research because it provides nothing, you know. It provides no benefit to the world like other research would. And as much as it's my favourite topic in all of the world, I would never be able to do it. And if I ever did want to make progress with it, I'd have to pull some kind of Einstein shit. And sorry, my brain stopped working for a second there. I'd have to pull some kind of Einstein shit and just do it on the side, you know, as something fun. Which is just annoying because the world today is so about progress and such. And I'm not saying that I'm ever going to make progress, because I'm just a kid with a dream. But man, I would love to just give it a try, give it a chance. It's something I've dreamed of since I was the youngest I can remember, you know. It sounds cliche and it sounds stupid, and it probably is, but it really is my dream to just realise that, you know. But again, probably not going to happen. We'll see. Naive of me to want to attempt something that no one in the world had ever come close to doing before, and even the best at the time only scratched the surface of understanding it. But again, I make the comparison all of the time to phase spaces, which is one of my favourite topics of mathematics, where you don't have to get an accurate depiction of what happens, you just have to get a mathematical model that works for providing context to the behaviour of that system. You don't have to give a perfectly accurate representation of what happens, as long as it shows the behaviour. So there's never one right answer to problems like this. It's just, there's infinite, you know, there's infinite answers, and all of them work infinitely well. You just have to find one that works with your brain specifically, and that's what I'm trying to do. Reverse engineering a framework for something that doesn't exist, and then seeing if you could make it exist, like a positron, like I said before. Usually it's the other way around. Usually you find something you don't understand, whether that be a little funny thing within a mathematical framework, like, if I think of an example, like, I guess like the graviton, for example, or maybe the Higgs boson, were all seen in the framework before they were even discovered in the first place. The graviton hasn't even been discovered yet. So they all been seen as a ghost before they were observed, and now I'm doing the opposite. I am thinking about something that doesn't even exist and then trying to make it exist. You know, it's like the opposite, it's the other way around. And that's a good summary for how my brain works in general, because I've always just been backwards in comparison to other students. The way my brain works, it overcomplicates everything. It looks for the details in everything, and that's always been a detriment to my academic ability, because seemingly simple problems, especially at A-level mathematics, and it was particularly prominent at GCSE maths, just overcomplicating simple problems and then getting them all wrong because of that. And not just getting them wrong, getting them really wrong. So I just need to, I guess, rein it in for the time being, and then I can explore my world afterwards. But let's push forward with academia for now, I guess.